As he approached the target coordinates, his targeting computer locked on. The image of the building filled his heads-up display. And then he saw it. Faded, but still clearly visible on the roof, was a large red cross symbol. The building wasn't just a former hospital. It was still a sanctuary for the sick and wounded. Zooming in with his targeting pod, his blood ran cold. He saw the unmistakable signs of life: nurses in white uniforms, people on stretchers, and in a small courtyard next to the building, a group of children kicking a ball. Their laughter a silent scream on his screen. The intel was wrong. Horrifically wrong. General Garrison's voice crackled in his ear. "Echo, you are cleared to engage. Confirm target lock. Send them to hell." Time seemed to stop. Alex's thumb hovered over the red button on his joystick. One press and hundreds of innocent lives would be extinguished. One press, and he would be a war hero. His mission a success. He saw the faces of the children in his mind. He saw his father's face. He saw his oath. Not just to his country, but to humanity. In that moment, he made a decision that would define him forever. "Echo, do you copy? Engage!" Garrison roared over the radio. Alex took a deep, shuddering breath. "Negative. Command," he replied, his voice steady despite the tremor in his soul. "I cannot confirm a military target. I am aborting the run." He banked his jet hard, the powerful machine groaning under the strain, pulling away from the hospital. To complete his mission without committing a massacre, he found a nearby confirmed enemy munitions depot and dropped his entire payload there, destroying it in a massive, fiery explosion that lit up the horizon. When Captain Vance landed, there was no debriefing. He was met on the tarmac by a wall of silence. His ground crew, who usually greeted him with a cheer, stood back, their faces a mixture of confusion and pity. Grim-faced military police approached. In full view of everyone, he was formally arrested, stripped of his sidearm, and escorted away. He had saved the innocent, but in the cold, unblinking eyes of military law, he had committed the ultimate sin. The court-martial was swift and brutal. General Garrison himself testified, stating that Captain Vance's failure of nerve and emotional insubordination had allowed a high-value target to escape. It seemed like a foregone conclusion, but Alex's defense team had been working frantically behind the scenes. They presented new evidence, a satellite photo taken by a neutral international aid agency just hours before the strike. The photo was high-resolution, and it was irrefutable. An NTHE image on the screen silenced the courtroom. It clearly showed the red cross on the roof. It clearly showed the children playing. It was undeniable proof that Alex Vance had not seen a military target. He had seen a hospital filled with innocent people. The intelligence had been catastrophically wrong, and General Garrison had either ignored it or never bothered to verify it in his haste. The entire prosecution's case, built on the foundation of a lawful order, collapsed in an instant. In the end, Captain Alex Vance was acquitted of treason and cowardice. In a face-saving move, the court gave him a formal reprimand for not following the precise letter of his orders before he honorably resigned from the service he loved. He never flew a fighter jet again. He didn't receive a medal or a parade. He walked away from his career, a hero to the world, but an outcast to the system he once revered. NNHI's story became a quiet legend, a case study taught in military academies about the profound importance of a soldier's conscience. He never sought recognition, but his true honor wasn't a medal to be pinned on a uniform. It was in the hundreds of lives that continued, in the children who grew up, in the hospital that still stood, all because one pilot, in one critical moment, understood that the highest order a soldier must follow is the one that comes from their own humanity. NNT, thank you for watching The Historic State. If this story of incredible moral courage moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because true honor is defined not by the orders we follow, but by the lines we refuse to cross. Welcome to my channel, The Historic State. What is the true definition of a soldier's duty? Is it to follow orders without question, even when those orders lead you into the darkest corners of your own conscience? Or is it to uphold a higher moral code, even if it means being branded a traitor by the very institution you swore to protect? Today, we tell the harrowing story of a pilot who was given a direct order. He had the target in his sights. One press of a button would have made him a war hero. Instead, he chose to become an outcast, risking everything for what he believed was right. This is the story of a man who chose humanity over orders, and the air in the courtroom was cold, heavy with condemnation. Captain Alex Echo Vance, one of the Air Force's most promising young pilots, was on trial for his life. The charges were severe: insubordination in a combat zone, dereliction of duty, and even aiding the enemy. The prosecution painted him as a coward, a man who lost his nerve at the critical moment, a weak link in an unbreakable chain of command. But the truth was far more complex. A story not of weakness, but of a strength so profound, the system couldn't comprehend it. To understand how this decorated pilot ended up here, branded a traitor, we must journey back to the cockpit of his fighter jet, flying deep into the heart of enemy territory. Then Captain Alex Vance was the quintessential ace pilot. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a believer. He believed in his mission and the country he served. He wasn't a troublemaker or a maverick. He was a soldier who followed the book, and he did it better than anyone else. His call sign, Echo, was a nod to his uncanny ability to perfectly replicate any flight maneuver, a symbol of his precision and discipline. He was trusted, admired, and seen as a future leader. His father, a small-town doctor, had taught him one simple rule. First, do no harm. Alex applied that principle to his life, believing that his role as a soldier was to protect the innocent, not to create more victims. That belief was about to be tested in the most brutal way imaginable. NNTHE mission was codenamed Operation Viper's Nest. Intelligence suggested that a high-value enemy leader, along with his top command, was operating out of a large, multi-story building in the heart of a densely populated city. General Garrison, a man forged in the brutal pragmatism of war, a man who saw soldiers as chess pieces, gave the order. The building was to be destroyed with a precision airstrike. When a junior officer pointed out that the building was a former hospital and was still located in a civilian area, Garrison's response was ice cold. "Gentlemen," he said, his voice leaving no room for debate, "the enemy does not play by our rules. They hide among civilians to use our morality against us. We will not allow it. This is a legitimate military target. Captain Vance, you will lead the strike." No Lex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. The intel was thin, based on a single uncorroborated source from a notoriously unreliable informant. He respectfully voiced his concern about collateral damage, about the innocent lives that would be caught in the crossfire. General Garrison cut him off, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Your job is to fly the plane, Captain, not to analyze my intelligence. You have your orders. Execute them." The room fell silent. The other pilots shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. To question a direct order from General Garrison was career suicide. Alex, his face a mask of discipline, simply nodded. "Yes, sir," but inside, a war, far more personal than the one he was being sent to fight, had already begun. NNTHE flight to the target was a journey through hell. Anti-aircraft fire, like angry claws, tore at the sky around him as he flew low and fast over the enemy city. Every instinct screamed at him to focus on survival, on the mission parameters, on the cold mechanics of flight. But his conscience was a louder, more insistent voice. He kept replaying Garrison's words, the cold dismissal of innocent lives. Was this what he had signed up for? To become a tool for destruction, regardless of the cost. He remembered his father's words, "First, do no harm," and they felt like a judgment.